Hello, welcome to another edition of From Beyond Champaign. I'm Cody. Follow me on all the socials at Cody_CHGO. Illinois loses 95-74 at Wisconsin. I've already done better than I did the last show with my friend Sam, where I didn't say the score, I don't think, until the very end. So let me start that off. Illinois lost 95-74 in this one. The last game against Michigan State was so bad that I couldn't even say the score. We already knew, but this one just as bad in many aspects, and we're going to talk all about it here. Probably not for an hour and 7 minutes like last time, but I got a lot of thoughts. I've been reading a lot of discourse, and I don't know, guys. I don't know where we go from here as an Illini fan, and I put up a video on my TikTok and YouTube shorts here last night saying, that this is bad. That we're down bad right now, and I don't know how Illinois is going to pick themselves up. And it starts with the fact that you don't have Morez Johnson. Now, when I did the last show, the news had not came out that Morez Johnson was going to be out indefinitely with a broken wrist, and so I am. That Morez Johnson being out significantly changes how I feel about this team. That's just point blank and simple. Morez Johnson being out, it really changes how I feel about this team. And that sucks, dude. It's a very deflating feeling. It's giving me the feeling of what the Chicago Cubs give me, it feels like every year. I feel very deflated during the baseball season at some point, multiple times, because it's such a marathon of a season. But with Illinois, the last 5-6 years, even in 2022, 2023, with all of the chaos that happened that season, I never really felt deflated like I do today. We just knew that team in 2022, 2023, they just weren't that good. We knew they were good enough to make an NCAA tournament. We knew that, maybe they could win a game and, we'll all be mad that they're not going to get to a second weekend again. But I don't think anyone had any real expectations, especially by this time of the year. By February, no one thought that team was going to win more than a game in the NCAA tournament. And they didn't even do that. They lost to Arkansas in the first round. So I'm feeling worse right now than I did then. And I think context matters. Context matters. And I want to talk a lot about context in this episode, because Illini Twitter, as it always is, you had the hot takes were out last night. Everyone judging every little thing that Brad Underwood saying in his post-game presser. And I don't blame people. People are mad. People want answers. I said in the last show, I appreciate Brad for everything he's done for this program to bring this program back to where it's at. But when you go into Big Ten Media Day and you tell everyone you think you got a national championship type roster and all these things, and then we were watching what has transpired here, it's like, it makes people angry. And so I get it. I absolutely get it. And to be honest with you guys, I'm right there with you. I was as angry as I've ever been on Saturday, and then when I did the show on Sunday, and I felt more hopeless going into yesterday's game, because I had no hope to win that game when Morez Johnson is out. Tommy Avicic doesn't even travel with the team, and I guess rents a car, or whoever drove him, or maybe he has a car. He himself drove up to Madison, Wisconsin from Champaign, which would be a 3 or 4 hour drive to go play that game, to give it a go, all while basically on one foot. We don't really know the status of his ankle, but it's been a problem for him, right? And then Jake Davis throwing up pregame, he came out and played for a few minutes and then just never came back in, probably because he didn't feel well. I give him a lot of credit for trying, I've never seen a team so sick, like legitimately sick, not like some theoretical version of being sick, like a like not feeling well at all. Like, get this entire team some NyQuil and go to bed. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that anymore. The only thing about it that I've never understood is these guys are sick, yet they're when they've been sick, they've still been sitting on the bench, and that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know. There's so much to talk about here. So I'm 5 minutes in, and I haven't said this, but if you're new here, please hit the like button. Any likes on this video on YouTube help me a ton, and I appreciate y'all's support. And hit the subscribe button if you're new as well. Send an Illini fan the video if you think that my thoughts and opinions would matter to them. 630 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So as we continue to grow and try to get to 1,000 here one day soon, we'll continue to grind that out. But anyway, so my overall thoughts on this one, just like I've been kind of shaping that out here, is that like I had no hope going into this one. Whenever you don't have Morez Johnson and you don't have a healthy Tommy Avicic, and didn't know anything about Jake Davis until pregame. It's when all those things come out, a half hour before the game, outside of the Morez Johnson. Okay, sorry. I don't know what just happened, but my internet went just completely blank for a little bit. So I am from home. just remember that, guys. So I see some comments are showing up here, and I appreciate it. So anyway, let me if you're just joined and you want to rewind, whatever. But anyway, what I was saying, I believe, was related to just how I didn't feel very hopeful going into this one, because I did not think this team could beat Wisconsin without Morez Johnson. The way Morez Johnson has been playing, though, you want to talk about positives from this season. Morez Johnson has been one of the biggest positives from this entire season. He has only grown, as a player from November until that injury against Michigan State on Saturday, and they missed his rebounding. They missed his defensive presence, his ability to protect the rim, stuff like that. They really did miss it. I'm not saying that not having him is the reason they lost. I am saying that they certainly probably would have had a better chance to win if they had him. And I tweeted a thread last night that rebounding is so important for this team. And so when you have Morez Johnson completely out and you have Tommy Avicic on one foot while also just not feeling well because of mono and all the other sickness going around the Illinois locker room. It's like you have no size. You have no size, and this team got destroyed on the boards last night. They got destroyed on the boards. I'm bringing it up right now, and I can read the exact numbers to you guys, but you guys already know. Like, Wisconsin had so many offensive rebounds in this game, and it's just every single one of them was so deflating. Every single one of them. And it is not freaking loading. Here, I'll bring it up on my phone. Sorry. I'll bring it up on my phone. Man, this is just terrible audio right now. The tough start, guys. Tough morning for me. I'm coming off 2 straight losses, and I got technical difficulties, and I got things not wanting to load on my phone. So bear with me. I'm sorry. So rebounding. Illinois, they had 30 total rebounds, and Wisconsin had 39, right? Wisconsin had 13 offensive boards. Illinois had 9. And it's just, I feel like if they actually had won the rebounding game, I actually feel like maybe they would have won, because more often than not, when they win the rebounding game, they win. And I actually wasn't upset with their offensive flow last night. They took 33s, but they made 10 of them. They were 33% from 3. I've asked all season if they could just be somewhere between 30 and 35%. So I don't hate that I really didn't hate the shots they took from 3-point from the 3-point line. Maybe there were a few quick ones. There's one that Kylan took during a crucial time period where I felt like Illinois could have got it to 1 or 2 possessions if maybe they didn't jack up a 3 as quick as they did. I think it was like on a pick and roll type situation, and he just launched it early in the shot clock. Sure, there might have been a few of those, but I don't think it was at a level of what we've talked about all season. And so I don't hate the shots they took, but they couldn't rebound. They couldn't get more offensive rebounds, which is something they're strong at. Again, this is a team that has been top 5 in college basketball, rebounding the ball all season. And when you don't have Morez Johnson or was Ivasic was he even 80%? You could see out there like he was just trying his hardest. I give him a lot of credit for giving it a go, for driving up separately and just trying to do what he can to help this team. He didn't even start the game. But, he's just not at full health. So it's tough. You lost by 21, so maybe I'm completely off on if they win the rebounding game, they win the game, because it's not like they were destroyed on the boards. They were -9, again, 39 for Wisconsin, 30 for Illinois, but I think that if they're able to secure more rebounds, maybe they get more offensive rebound chances. That's the point I'm making. That's how this team has won all season. When they win the rebounding game, they play better, and they probably are, at least the margin is closer. So you lose by 21. It's very telling. There's more reasons to why they lost, but I think that's a big reason. And I don't think enough people are talking about it. Everyone just wants to blame Brad or bitch about every little thing he says in post game, where he's basically, in some ways you can spin it as he's blaming the fact that half the team is hurt or sick or whatever, when if you go listen to it yourself, I don't really think that's the case. It's just clips that the media is putting out there of him talking about things that he's asked. It's not like he's going in there and just blaming everything on that, in my opinion. Now, another reason, and maybe you can certainly make this as the main reason that they lost this game, is Kasparas Jakucionis was absolutely horrific last night. He was absolutely horrific. 7 turnovers, 0 assists. 7 turnovers and 0 assists for Kasparas Jakucionis. And, I thought he'd kind of turn the corner, got past the freshman wall. He had like a 5-game stretch there where he was terrible. wasn't hitting shots. Last night, he only takes 3 shots for 6 points. He had 4 fouls, so he's in foul trouble as well. But 0 assists and 7 turnovers. And some of them were just really, really bad turnovers, man. And I've said this before about Kasparas, man. Like, the guy is 18 years old. He's a freshman. And I guess in today's era of college basketball, maybe I should be a little bit harder, because how many one and dones have we seen? How many guys have we seen throughout college basketball come in and, collect their money in the NIL era and then go and play in the NBA the next year, and it's like they didn't even really care about the university, right? Like, I'm not pushing that narrative for Kasparas. I do think he genuinely cares about Illinois and the program, and he wants to win and all these things. It's always talked about how he gets really down on himself about a lot of things. And I think that's probably a problem of why, when he gets down on himself, sometimes things can spiral with him. And I just felt like every single time he messed up, things would only get worse after that. The only good moment I can think of from this game from Kasparas was probably Wisconsin's very first possession, where I think he forced a steal. Like, he stole a pass and Illinois went down, and I think they hit a 3 to start the game, or maybe it was just a 2. That's probably the best moment from Kasparas the entire night. The very first possession of the game. I don't really know what else to say about Kasparas. We know how good he is, and it's not like he's only played good against bad teams. We've seen him play great against good teams, and we've seen him play bad against bad teams. But you can't have 7 turnovers and 0 assists in a game that you absolutely need to have. That's probably my biggest thing. No Morez Johnson. Ivicic on 1 foot with mono, and Jake Davis throwing up pregame. You needed KJ to show up and be the number 1 guy on your team. Be the lottery pick that he is going to be. People on Illini Twitter starting the discourse. He's plummeting draft stock. This was a bad game, but he is going to be drafted in the top 10. The guy is too fucking talented. I would be shocked if he's not. All right. It was a very demoralizing as a fan. It was a very demoralizing feeling to watch him play basketball last night. And I don't want to remember him for a game like this. I want to remember him for what he's done over the course of the year with Illinois. And what, they're 17-10 now. He's a big part of the 17 wins Illinois has. Does he have some play in a lot of the losses? Absolutely. So if you don't want to blame rebounding like me and Morez Johnson, if you thought they could still win this game without Morez Johnson, then you have every right to blame KJ for the reason that they lost this game, because KJ was horrific. To me, I really think that it's a combination of both, and I would lean to the fact that Morez Johnson didn't play, because I think Morez Johnson's been that great. So, yeah, it's just a very, very, very brutal time to be an Illini fan. We came into the year with a lot of high hopes. I'd say at this point, like, if you want me to spin zone some of this, back in November, if I told you we'd be 17-10 at mid to late February, and just kind of in the middle of the pack, maybe you didn't live up to top 5 in the Big Ten, but you're still in the running. You're still more than likely going to make an NCAA tournament run. I mean, with how young this team was, I guess I think there's certainly a right to be disappointed, especially with what Brad has said about this team at the beginning of the year. There's certainly a reason, and there's plenty of criticism to go around with everyone. I'm trying to look at it with more perspective. Like, yes, when the game ended, I was so pissed. I could have easily come on here and done this right after the game, but I was so pissed that I could not do it. I give a lot of credit to guys like my good friend Sonny Verma, who does Locked On Illini and the Locked On Illini podcast, and the guys like Jeremy Werner and Derek Piper, who do Illini Inquirer, and they're covering the game, and then they have to come in and do the show after. And they're obviously reporters, but you can tell that they want the team to be good too. Like it would be exhausting to come talk about this team right now. And I don't remember the last time I could say that it was exhausting to watch Illinois. Last night was exhausting to watch Illinois, and it's not getting any easier. You got Duke on Saturday on Fox. It's going to be one of the more watched games in college hoops on Saturday, and you're not going to have Morez Johnson. Yeah, I can only hope that some guys feel better in terms of the flu sickness going around the locker room. And I don't know how to feel about Tommy right now. I thought he was getting it together because he had some good games coming off the ankle, but these last 2 games now, it's not great. It's not great, but I don't know what I should be expecting from him, with what's going on with him injury-wise. So I'm just really frustrated all around. Let's read some comments, and then I'll go into some of the good. All right. Philip says in the chat, I have hope. Well, that's good. At least someone has hope. Listen, I always, as someone who is a pure optimist, more often than not, as someone who is always more often than not a pure optimist, and it's largely because of the stuff that you see on the wall behind me, because that's where we're born and bred to be, just delusional optimists. I always love to give a lot of credit to those types because it's hard to be. It's hard to be. It's so much easier to be pessimistic and down on everything. It is so much easier to do that. So anyone who has hope, I give you a lot of credit because it's hard right now, man. Adam says, regretting my decision to go to the Duke game on Saturday. Hope we keep it within 20. Yeah, I know. Duke's going to be tough, man. And you asked me a week ago after the UCLA game, I'd tell you that I was feeling good. I felt like the team was starting to get healthy. I felt like the team was, maybe perhaps turning the corner, and now it just feels like they've taken 10 steps back. And yeah, it's like, can we keep it? Can we even keep it within 10? I don't think the only person who has hope for Illinois on Saturday against Duke is probably the team in Brad Underwood. Caitlin, what's going on? Welcome back. This team's confidence is shot, and I can't even be mad at Brad for that because they haven't had the ability to practice all together in months. And for a young team, they need that consistency. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And Brad said that in post game that like Tommy he's practiced like once with the team in the last month or so, something like that. And whether it's because guys are sick, all these things, it's like, yeah, like the continuity, the all of that stuff, it does play a factor. Like when you can't practice and stuff, it does play a factor. I'm not using it as an excuse. I am saying though that that context with that does matter. And as someone who played in junior high and high school, like things didn't feel right whenever the team didn't get to practice a couple days, because whether it's because you played you played so many games and it was a certain part of your schedule where you had to play more games in a week than others. And sometimes like if the team wasn't playing well, it's like you need that practice time to go over things. And when you don't have that, it can play a factor into how, consistent issues you have with the team. Again, this is me talking about playing whenever I was like a teenager, but I do think not having that consistent practice time with the entire roster and all that, there is something to say about it. There is something to say about it, and that's as far as I'll go with it. But Caitlin, you do have a good point. You can see it in post games how Brad is trying to convince them they are okay, and the players are doubting it. Let's talk about this. When I was listening to the Illini Inquirer on my way home from the Michigan State game, Jeremy Werner and Derek Piper brought up something about how like they were surprised that Brad hadn't just completely flipped. You remember 2 years ago why that team, didn't like each other, they didn't get along, all these things. And like the whole narrative behind Brad being the reason behind that, basically, right? Like we haven't forgot Brad yelling at everyone in the huddle against Northwestern from that season, right? He hasn't done that this year. He didn't do that last year really either. At this point, I am surprised he has not with this team. And maybe it's because this team's really young. Maybe it's because he wants some of these guys to return next year. Maybe it's because he learned from that situation, that moment, and has told himself he needs to not do that because of the era of college basketball that we're in, the type of players that are coming up and playing at this level compared to 20 years ago. I don't know, but it is surprising that he hasn't just kind of flipped, like gave us a fart noise, or, just called someone out and said that they're not being a leader, and they need to lead better. Something. I am surprised that something like that hasn't happened. The one thing he has done this year a lot, and I said this the other day, he's taken accountability, and I can respect that and I can appreciate it. At some point, no one wants to. You get to a point where you don't even want to hear that anymore. And that's what happens when you're losing, man. And it happens when you're not growing. This team isn't growing right now. I was really more hopeful for a better result by this time in February. We all were, right? So I think at this point, I don't think Brad's going to flip like we've seen him before. But man, I think as a fan, I kind of want him to. And I think that's it's a lose-lose situation for Brad if he does something like that, right? Like, he's going to take heat for no matter what. He's taking heat right now because everyone thinks he's making excuses. When objectively, not having Morez Johnson and Jake Davis throwing up pregame and all this, as a coach, what can you do? You can't lose by 21 to Wisconsin on the road. Absolutely not, right? But at the same time, Wisconsin's good. They're the number 11 team in the country. At this point, the Wisconsin win back in December might be their best win on their resume. It's not like you lost to fucking Minnesota. I don't know. But I am at a point where I'd like to see a little bit more fire from Brad at someone, because and selfishly, it's more so for me because I just want to yell at all of them during these games sometimes. So he's not going to. I don't think he will, and that's fine. But no matter what, it's a lose-lose situation for him. He's going to get criticized no matter what by the national talking heads, most likely, and probably all the haters on Illini Twitter. Philip, KJ breakout game is coming at some point. Well, the thing is I thought he did. He played a couple good games after that freshman wall hit. And then you get this one last night, and it's like, I hope he bounces back against Duke on Saturday, going up against Cooper Flagg and however many other, potential NBA draft picks they have on that team, right? I hope KJ bounces back against Duke, because if he doesn't, Illinois will lose by 20 plus points. The fact that Illinois was in this game at halftime with what KJ gave them is actually kind of impressive. And if he had showed up in the second half, maybe, just maybe, they win the game, because even though they lost by 21, this game was close for 30, 35 minutes. Illinois kept it within single digits the entire game, but they were getting nothing from Kasparas. If Kasparas shows up, you can certainly make an argument that they win this game, but he did not show up, and it's disappointing. KJ is trying to do too much. He's trying to put this team on his back and do what has worked for him growing up, but it's not working in college basketball. Yeah, I mean, whenever you see the turnovers and stuff, and sometimes he tries to sneak some passes in there that he probably shouldn't. I did feel like a few of the fouls called against him were similar to when they were at Michigan State, but it's not like he was in major foul trouble. What's crazy is Illinois played their best when he was on the bench the last 5 minutes of the first half. That was probably their best they played the entire game, because they cut it to what? It was a 6-point game at halftime, something like that. And I felt like the combination of Kylan, Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn, Tommy, and Humrickhouse, and I don't know. It might have been Will Riley. Yeah, Will Riley. I felt like that was their best stretch of the game. And then he starts the second half. KJ himself starts the second half with a turnover in the first possession. It's just like deflating. It's not how you want to come out of the second half. His turnovers, of all the things that he has been consistent at all season, his turnovers have been the biggest problem. Ross, Adam, have some fun, man. Keep it lighthearted and don't expect the world. I hope to God they don't get too embarrassed. Yeah, that's to Adam in the chat who said he's going to the Duke game. Philip says, I think we can beat Duke. That's a lot of, man, that's more optimism than I can have, man. But I hope you're right. For the sake of our happiness, I hope you're right. What's up, Sonny? I see you here in the chat. Jay, if this was the old college basketball when people stayed, I wouldn't feel as pissed this year. Problem is, this is basically a one and done year. I guess this is the new college buckets. You know what's crazy is like after the Penn State game, remember Illini Twitter after the Penn State game was like, oh man, we did this without KJ, and we're gonna get a lot of these guys back next year. That was, I think we all hit peak delusion at that point in the season, and rightfully so. They had won 3 or 4 straight, including beating an Oregon team that was top 15 in the country on the road. And then they beat Penn State, a team at the time people thought was decent. And the way they beat Penn State without KJ was like, wow, you know, this team is deep. This team can go places, right? And since then, it's just been bad. You know, whether it's injuries, whether it's being young, whether it's Brad not playing Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn and Tre White against Michigan State, whether it's making excuses about the refs at Michigan State, whether it's the kryptonite that is Maryland, whether it's losing to USC, Nebraska, and Rutgers, you know, inexcusable losses, no matter what, those 3 for sure. I think we'd all feel they'd have 20 wins right now if they'd beat USC, Rutgers, and Nebraska. You know, I think Maryland has shaped up to be a really good team, so it's not necessarily a bad loss. It's just like you can't lose by 21 at home to a Big Ten opponent, man. So that's why that one hurts a lot. But yeah, at this point, I feel like going back to what I said about Brad and how he has remained calm and hasn't flipped on a lot of these players. It's like part of me thinks that he's doing everything he can to secure a bunch of these guys coming back next year. You know, last year's team, I know that a lot of them graduate in this. Like, could they use Luke Goody on this team? Yes. Right. What has Kerry Booth done for this team? Brad hasn't even really given him an opportunity to gain any kind of rhythm or momentum on this team. So why is Kerry Booth here? You could have kept Luke Goody, right? Ty Rodgers, red shirts. Tre White's not playing for the last couple games. And he played last night. He started last night. Is that because Morez is out? Would he have played if Morez was healthy? And, you know, Jake Davis, before he played those 8 minutes that didn't play the rest of the game. Like, if he's healthy, if he doesn't feel sick, does he play more in that game than Tre White? I mean, he probably deserved to. It's not like Tre White was having a great game. Tre White went 1 for 4 with 7 points. He had 5 rebounds. I felt like the first half defense for Illinois was as good as it could have been. And I felt like Tre White was a big part of that. But the point is that, like, what is Tre White giving you that's any different than what Ty Rodgers would have given you? You know? Tre White's not shooting the ball well. Maybe he stretches the floor a little bit more and he's able to go off the dribble, create off the dribble a little bit better than Ty Rodgers, sure. But I think Ty Rodgers' experience, defense, hard hat lunch pail mentality, all the little things he does on the court, like, yeah, In certain matchups, is he bad to have on the court? Yeah, because he can't shoot. But I just think his experience is missed on this team. Instead, he's sitting on the bench and he's more likely to transfer, right? I don't really know. I mean, DGL, I feel like the way that Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn has talked to media and played, like I feel like he's a guy who wants to be here, even after not playing those couple games because of being sick, and then for whatever reason not playing more against Michigan State. I feel pretty good about him wanting to be here, right? I think Ben Hilmerkaus will probably be here next year. And the only reason that I don't think Kylan will be here, if he's not, is largely because maybe Brad pushes him out because he just hasn't played well enough. But I don't know why Kylan would want to leave since he's playing in his hometown right now. But we have all offseason to talk about that when we get there. We got a lot more comments here. Holy shit. Let's see. Philip says Purdue is on a losing streak. That's a small victory. That's true. That's true. I did bet on Purdue last night, and I don't know. I still don't think Michigan State's that good, and I think Tom Izzo's just we say this a lot for Cubs on CHGO Cubs, like the Brewers took the Cardinals like devil magic. I feel like Tom Izzo stole the devil magic from like whoever had it before. Maybe it was I don't know where it came from, who had it before. I mean, Purdue's been awesome, but like they had an incredible player like Zach Edey, right? And now they've kind of fallen. They haven't fallen off. They're still good, but they're not nearly as good. And Michigan State, like they do more with less, and it's impressive, but also really infuriating. It reminds me a lot of the Brewers. Sonny says, honest question: with Duke being an OOC game, out of conference game, and one that doesn't matter as much, if Ivisic is still sick, does it make sense to basically rest those that are sick to get healthy for Iowa? That's a good question, Sonny. If Ivisic sits, they will absolutely not win that game. That's for sure. I mean, no one thinks they're going to win the game anyway. I'll just say that I'm not against it. For a game that I've been really excited about all season. It's like Michael Scott, how the turntables. Like like I am dreading this game on Saturday, and maybe for big picture reasons, maybe they should sit Tommy, get Kerry Booth some run. You know, I just, through all these injuries and everything, like Kerry Booth has done nothing to deserve more minutes, and Brad has also not given him enough minutes to maybe perhaps change my mind on that. Maybe if both those guys are out and Kerry Booth plays he plays more, and Illinois just plays small, and you know, maybe we learn some things that will be beneficial moving forward. Fuck, dude. It's a question that God, I guess looking ahead, I'm like, yeah, why not? I'm not against it. I don't know if Brad would do that though. I think if Tommy's healthy, he'll play. And I do think the game matters. Like if they go to Madison Square Garden and beat Duke, just say theoretically, say they win, like that's a huge win on their tournament resume. This is a huge win on their tournament resume. And I know everyone's high on Duke right now. Obviously, they're like a top 3 team in the AP poll. But isn't the ACC really top heavy? Like, I don't think that conference is good. I think the Big Ten is better than them. And so have they played a team as talented as Illinois? Like, you know, at least in their conference? I don't know. This is me trying to spin it. This is me trying to spin it. And this is why after the UCLA win, I was like, yeah, maybe they could do it. Maybe, because I just think they play in a weak ACC. But yeah, man. I'd say if Jake Davis can play and you just decide to go small, you think it's beneficial to go small, like why not just sit them? They'll be real small I mean, Rickhouse and Jake Davis would be your biggest guys outside of Kerry Booth. But we'll see. But I'm not against it, Sonny. I'm not against it. Brad has mellowed out the last couple of years for sure. Yeah. Ross, what's up, man? The majority lately is anything but soft on Brad. He didn't invent cancer. Relax. I think you're talking to Cynthia. Cynthia said, "Can we stop being so soft on Brad?" I mean, I'm not being soft on Brad. I think I've been objectively critical of Brad. I just don't think anyone who says that we should fire this guy I just don't think any of you are correct. That's where I draw the line. All right. Danger and Hansberry would both be helpful. Yeah, those are two other guys. And like Danger was a fan favorite. I would have been happy if he stayed. And he's been pretty awesome at Memphis this year. He's really helped that team with Penny Hardaway become one of the better. What are they in the American Conference? So yeah, like there's so many guys were just kind of pushed out, and I don't know. It could be Brad. It could be the fact of how Brad wants to play. Like I thought Danger made a lot of sense. He played really well in the type of role that Brad had him playing last year. But did he want to play more minutes? Did he want to, do you want to start all these things? If Brad told him that he's most likely not going to start and and there's going to play this type of game like they did last year, which they're basically doing the same type of game, then I don't blame him for transferring because he wants to play more and he wants to, maybe have a chance to go play professionally one day, So I think that both those things can be true, right? All right. So I've kind of hinted, let's go over some good things. All right. We're 42 minutes and I did not think I'd be doing this for a full 45 minutes. So I'll probably be pretty quick here. The two good things here, Tre Gibbs-lawhorn. Tre Gibbs-lawhorn was awesome yesterday. Tre Gibbs-lawhorn, he has been a vocal leader on this team. I still think about that video that Illinois tweeted out of him in the locker room after, I think it was the Ohio State win or something. Like, I there's not a lot of good to take from this, but if there's anything good I can take from it, it's that Tre Gibbs-lawhorn is how he will not start against Duke on Saturday. It will need to be studied because I don't think Brad will do it, and I'm begging him to start Tre Gibbs-lawhorn on Saturday against Duke because he's playing better than Kylan, and he is filling it up. When he gets going, when he shoots with confidence, this guy can score with the best of them. And I just think that he deserves, at this point, he deserves to start on Saturday and over Kylan. And maybe Kylan can be better coming off the bench. You know what I mean? Like, I understand why Brad's starting him because he's probably their best defender. But DGL has been shooting the ball well and perhaps can help spread the floor a little bit more with KJ on the floor too. I would like to see DGL start on Saturday. The guy had 17 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds, 7 to 12 from the field. He had a great game for a guy coming off the bench. Play the guy. That's why it makes the Michigan State game just even more frustrating in many ways. So, and then I thought Ben Rickhouse had as good a game as you could have asked for someone that's been playing his role. 13 points. He went 3 of 6 from 3. His defense continues to be up and down, but I feel like he's a guy who's going to be here next year, and I'm fine with it. He just can't be relied upon to be like your third option. And right now he's like basically your second option with all these injuries. So, or probably your third option with KJ and Will Riley, right? Will Riley continues to be pretty solid as well. Another double-digit game. At this, like, why are we not starting Will Riley? Why are we not starting DGL? Those two. Put those two in the starting lineup. All right. Let Tre White and Kylan Boswell come off the bench. You're going to have to play them with Morez Johnson out. But like, put the best players in the starting lineup. Put them in the starting lineup. That's all I ask at this point. It's hard to ask for anything, but I'm baby steps. Play start Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn and start Will Riley. Will Riley has played well enough to earn a spot in the starting lineup, and just let him and KJ work together. Do the high screen and roll with both of them. Who knows what can happen with that? I don't know, especially with no Morez and with Tommy in like such a fragile state right now. Like, you got to get KJ and Will Riley going. If you're going to have any shot to beat Duke, you have to get incredible games from both of those guys. So start them both and let's fucking just give it a shot. All right. Matthew. Illinois needs to stop chucking threes. Opposing teams are leaving them open for a reason. They know our guys will shoot it and most likely miss. 3-point percentage ranked 318th. Yeah, so I actually mentioned earlier, like, I don't hate that the way they shot threes last night. They shot 33s, but they made 10 of them. That's 33%. That's all I've asked all season, is to shoot anywhere from 30 to 35% from three. I really like watching the game. I did mention that there were a few that maybe early in the shot clock that I didn't like, especially in crucial moments, but I didn't feel like they were just chucking threes like we've said, kind of like that second half against Michigan State. I in the final 10 minutes, I didn't feel like it was like that. That's just me personally in this particular game. Has that been a problem in a lot of games? Yes, especially all the ones that they've lost. But last night, I don't think that's the reason that they lost the game. I think they lost the game because Morez Johnson is out. Tommy Avicic is on one fucking foot and has mono. Jake Davis is throwing up pregame. And Kasparas Jakucionis had his worst game as Illini. That's why they lost last night. To me, that is a large majority of it. There's other little things too. Maybe you could have double teamed Tanji more. The fact that we're 47 minutes in and I haven't mentioned Tanji at all is bad. That hand up. My bad. I should have mentioned Tanji well before this, but Tanji had a great game. He's putting himself in the Big Ten Player of the Year conversation. It's not some random guy that has been killing you like Bildu for UCLA or Jackson Kosher or Kusher, whatever his name is for Michigan State. Like, it's not some random dudes. Tanji is really good, and I did feel like they guarded him well, but they probably should have brought a double team at some point, especially in that second half. And they just didn't really do that. And maybe that's on Brad, you know? So I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, this is where I'm at, guys. I wish we could just skip the Duke game and just go straight to Iowa. They get Duke on Saturday at 7 p.m. on Fox, and then host Iowa at home next Tuesday at 8 p.m. So the good news is after the Duke game, you have a quick turnaround pretty much. And hopefully by then, you have more answers about this team in terms of health. But man, this sucks. This sucks. This is why I've really appreciated the ride that we've been on the last 5 years. And it's just like, I haven't felt this, deflated since Loyola. I haven't felt this deflated since Loyola. And Brad said in postgame, this team is going to be fine. And I'm like, all right, Brad. All right. Let's see it, man. We'll see. I don't know what I should hope for against Duke. I mean, obviously, I hope they win, but realistically, should I just hope for losing by single digits? I don't know. I don't know. So before I get out of here, Brad, I did want to talk a little bit about this, and I would have done this a lot earlier, but I had a lot of comments in here today, so I appreciate y'all for hanging out. But I wanted to mention the Terrence Shannon t-shirt thing. I'm wearing the shirt that they gave away. This is the shirt they gave away at the State Farm Center on Saturday. I love, no one can spin something like Terrence Shannon Jr. has the last 2 years, and I just have two things to say. One, everyone should go buy the shirt. Everyone knows what shirt is. Just go to his Twitter. The link is there. You can buy the shirt because the guy deserves so much grace and he deserves so much support from this fan base and others who like basketball. And listen, man, how do I say this? A lot of people have egos, right? If I was Terrence Shannon and I was being memed all over the internet after that happened, I would be absolutely pissed. And that's supposed to be a moment that you remember the rest of your life and your family and all this. And like the way he has spent it, turn it into a way to donate money to the Boys and Girls Club. Like he's not going to profit off this at all. Like I give him a lot of credit and a lot of grace. And I just think that he's just one of those guys that I'm always going to go to war for. Any slander, any Terrence Shannon Jr. slander, you're going to trigger me really quick. And I'm so tired of opposing fans trying to tell me that this guy didn't deserve to be into the rafters at State Farm Center, even though the guy had one of the greatest single season seasons ever in Illini history and led the team to an Elite Eight for the first time since 2004, 2005, when that team went to the Final Four. You cannot tell me that guy doesn't belong in the rafters. He would have been a first-team All-American if it weren't for the stuff going on off the court. I had to mention that here at the end. And if of anything that Brad said in his post-game that I was like, yeah, that's right. Like, thank you for saying this, Brad. It's the stuff about Terrence Shannon. So, yeah, that's where I am at on that. And I'll continue to be cheering him on in his professional career at the Timberwolves and wherever else he goes. But anyway, yeah, that's all I got, guys. We're 50 minutes in, and I appreciate y'all's support. Sorry for earlier in the show, I had a little bit of a technical difficulty, so thank you for hanging around. But yeah, the game's on Saturday. Don't know if I'll be able to do post game right after the game. I would probably lean to a no on that, but I'll try. I'll definitely do something Sunday morning. So look out for that. Kind of recapping the game just like this. All I can tell y'all is just got to hang in there, grind through this one, and who knows? Maybe they'll completely surprise us. Maybe they will. It's hard to believe that at this point, but we ride the highs, we ride the lows, and right now it's really low. Hopefully the effort is still there. To close it out on one more positive, I felt like the effort was there last night. I felt like they gave it everything they had, and at the end of the day, that's all I can ask for as a fan. So hopefully they can take that into this game against Duke. And who knows? Who knows? Maybe things go different. But anyway, before I get out of here, just want to remind y'all, in the description here on YouTube, we got the audio versions of this show on Apple and Spotify. So if you are more of a podcast listener, audio-wise, go hit the subscribe there, and any reviews and ratings you guys would like to give, I'd appreciate it. Also, hit the like button here on YouTube on your way out, and let me know your thoughts about this team right now in the comments. I'll try to get to some of them. I always say that, and then I always forget, but I'll try. I'll try my best. Yeah. Illinois and Duke, Saturday at 7 p.m. God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. And it's going to be a tough battle on Saturday. So, we'll see what this team has. We'll see what this team has. Man, I hope they win. I want to celebrate something, we all hope they win, right? So anyway, I appreciate y'all's support as always. Again, I'll see you later this weekend, whether it's Saturday or Sunday. And until then, guys, ILL.